We have some more real life drama. These are your stories. My granddaughter wanted to know about our heritage, so my daughter, we'll call her Haley, got her kit for Christmas and sent in her DNA. When they got the results back, my daughter sent me a list of people and asked me if I recognized any of them, which I didn't. That is when she told me she doesn't think her dad, we'll call him Steve, is her biological father. Steve and I met when I was 18 years old. Like many young couples, we thought we were in love. Shortly after we got together, I found out I was pregnant with Haley. But after Haley was born, Steve and I started to grow apart. There was a lot of toxicity that we could not overcome, so after 2 years, I took Haley and moved back in with my mother. I had state-provided insurance for Haley when we split up, so the courts required me to file for child support against Steve. Before that hearing, we were legally required to establish paternity since we were not married. The paternity test came back that Steve was her biological father. We were both informed and the child support process was started. So when Haley informed me of the ancestry DNA findings, I first found it difficult to believe. Then she sent me a girl's name and said, "This girl is my half-sister on my dad's side according to the DNA. Does dad have other kids?" But when I saw the girl's last name, a 34-year-old memory came back to mind. I was a senior in high school when I met this older man. I saw him like he was a movie star, and he was extremely nice to me. We spent some time together, and then one day I left and never looked back. No hard feeling, nothing like that at all, because I knew that I was not the only one he was seeing. I just left. And shortly after that, I met Steve. She said I just asked her what dad's name is. So I told her a name and it matched the one her half-sister told her. Since finding out, she has contacted her biological dad and one of her half-siblings. They are planning on meeting in the near future, also meeting our grandchildren. In the meantime, Steve and Haley have gotten another DNA test done on their own. We are all very confused as to why the state-ordered DNA test came back as Steve being the father. At this time, we can only assume someone did not do their job right. Steve is talking about hiring an attorney and going to the news. I do not know what her biological father's intentions are other than to try and form an adult relationship with our daughter. And me? I feel like my entire life has been forced and fake. I'm angry, sad, and very confused, as is Haley. Like, how do you mess that up? That's a mistake that affects someone's life for the rest of their life. Multiple people. That's insane. And imagine she never took that DNA test, like the ancestry DNA test. She would have no idea that that wasn't her father and that her father's actually out there and she has siblings. Oh, I'm so sorry for everyone. A little backstory for context. I, 34 female, started working for a huge corporate gas station that is based out of Canada, I believe, but has tons of stores in the US as well. And I do live in the US. I was hired at the beginning of October 2024. I was recommended for the job by a friend. I'll call her August. This specific location is my husband's and I main corner stop and shop place that we've been regulars for years. Over the last 2 years that August has worked there, the company has gone through an insane amount of first/second shift workers. Some last a month, some a couple of weeks, but no one ever stays permanently. Well, August recommended me and her boss, we'll call him Tom, interviewed me for about 3 minutes before offering me the position. I have almost a decade of experience as a cashier, customer service, and management. With the high turnover rate, they're probably like, oh, we'll take anybody. Even though you are very qualified. Don't get me wrong. I was officially hired October 10th. Things were going great. I was working the tail end of the first shift and the first half of the second shift, and the crew was awesome. But I started noticing that August pretty much did what she wanted when she wanted to. She is the assistant manager, and every shift she relieved me or my coworker Will, 22 male, she was always late. Not just 10 to 20 minutes, but 2 to 3 hours late. No call, no courtesy. She would just come rushing through the door with a world of excuses and sob stories. I quickly understood that this was the reason no one else would stick around long, But I am not a quitter. I would mention these issues to my boss, Tom, and he would also make excuses for her. So I began to understand that no matter what any of us complain about, he would cover for her and brush the concerns off, leaving the rest of us, Will, Lorraine the cook, and myself, to just deal with her constant bull crap. I love that you censored that. I didn't even have to censor it. She started bringing her boyfriend into the store every day, all day. They were unhoused and at the time had no car. Oh. She would let him go in the back of the store, which was against the company policies. But she didn't care because no matter what, Tom had her back. A couple of weeks into working there, August's boyfriend had passed away from an OD. No, that's really sad. Despite August showing up for work late, that is heartbreaking. And August started pretty much living at the store. Condolences to the boyfriend's family, but she absolutely hated him. Oh. I've never heard her say a good thing about him in the 2 years that I've known her. Oh. He passed away about a week after she had been given a car from one of the regular customers that felt bad for her. Tom and I worked a lot of the time together. We actually hit it off great, especially over our shared love for 70/80 rock. He decided to ask me to be the second assistant manager, and I accepted it. Yeah, get that promotion. As soon as August found out, she was angry, talking crap to anyone at the store who would listen, including our customers. I had confronted her about it over text the day I found out. I planned to do it face to face, but I couldn't wait 3 days until I saw her again. She denied ever having any issues or saying anything negative to customers about the promotion I had gotten, and I knew for a fact everything she was saying to me was a lie. Tom had confided in me that he wanted to get me trained right away to do paperwork and handle the money so he could finally have a day off after 2 years of working every single day, and that he hadn't fully trained August because he knew her past with addiction and didn't want to put the temptation in her hands. Pretty much, even though he always covered for her and had her back, he didn't trust her to deal with the money. The day Tom started training me on paperwork, August walked in and saw what was happening, and after she clocked in, she stormed out the door and sat in her car crying for nearly 2 hours while on the clock. She started complaining to him that it shouldn't be me and that it wasn't right that I was being trained. She would start coming in to relieve me super late or sometimes not at all. Tom would just say, "She's going through stuff, it has nothing to do with you, and it's nothing against you," failing to realize that my time was not being respected at all. As many people do, I schedule my life around my work schedule. We have 5 kids. 5 kids! Yeah, you can't just have her not show up for her shift to relieve you. And most have school activities. So me leaving on her time was not working for me, but I know going to Tom was useless. Over the next couple of weeks, I was debating what my options were on handling the situation the right way. I decided to write an email to my boss's boss, and it had concerns from all 3 of the day shift employees, me, Will, and Lorraine, and we were all signing off on the contents of the email. In those couple of weeks, my drawer had come up short 4 times. First time was $107. Second time was $53. Third time, $22. And the last time, $60.02. Just for context, because she's assistant, her login number could override anyone's drawer. But the days I was short were days I had worked with her and no one else. It's not looking good, August. And if she came in and I still had to work a little later, she would immediately let me go smoke a cigarette or use the restroom, and I didn't always lock my terminal. I know, it was stupid of me not to. Tom would do paperwork and not come up with why it was short. 2 weeks before I got fired. You got fired? Out of all people. 2 weeks before I got fired, our cook had about 50 frozen pizzas that had gone out of date that day, and they had to be written off. Company policy states, even if items are written off, they have to go in the trash. Anyone who takes any of the items is considered theft. But even with everyone knowing that, a few of us would always take some of the items home if they were outdated too long. Don't judge me. Girl, I ain't judging. That's a free pizza right there. But if it's out of date, can you even eat them? That's what I'm a little confused with that part. There were only 4 of us that day, and 3 out of the 4 had taken pizza home. By the time I took mine out, only August was around to see it. And even though August had participated before, she said she didn't want any that time. She ratted you out, didn't she? About a week and a half later, Tom's boss came in and told him, even though they did not see me take any money from the register, I had to have somehow, because all of those funds were missing with no explanation, and that he received a report that I had stolen food items, and they had the time and date of when it happened, including video of me taking them outside. He wanted me terminated immediately. Okay, yeah, we went against company policy. We're gonna get fired. I came in that day and I joked as usual. I had gone to the Garda transactions, checked in all of our vendors for that day, and at almost the end of my shift, Tom said he needed to speak with me and that it wasn't good. Tom told me what his boss said, and said that Tom himself didn't believe that I had taken the money, and if I wanted to appeal, I could. But I knew they had video of me taking 6 or 7 old pizzas and knew that qualified for termination. Well, at least you're admitting it. Yeah, we can't actually steal food. I make jokes, but you know, you're gonna face the consequences of that action, unfortunately. So I handed over my name tag and I walked out. Lorraine, the cook, and I are tight. We've become fast friends, and in the days that followed my termination, we talked every day. August had pretty much been there 24/7, sleeping in the back of the store, doing shrug deals in the parking lot, and then immediately goes to the restroom for 20 to 30 minutes every time. I have so many connections in this little city, so the day after I was let go, I already had another job. I stopped in after work a couple nights ago, and August came up to me while I was at the self-checkout. Her face looked pale, eyes glazed over. Instantly I knew she was on cloud 9, off her effing rocker. She proceeds to casually, nonchalantly say, quote, "You know I'm like the biggest racist around, right?" Are we proud of that? I'm thinking she's being sarcastic and gonna tell me if a customer called or accused her of being racist. Oh, how wrong I was. August went on to say, "Oh yeah, blacks, Mexicans, all of them can't effing stand them, hate them all." Okay. Me, in shock and disbelief that this is an actual conversation I'm having with this broad. And then there are more racial comments here in this that were made, but I cannot say them on YouTube or else I will definitely be flagged and shut down. But there was more comments made, far worse. At this point, I had not responded, and while she was talking, I was walking out of the store, and she was following. I got in the passenger seat and didn't say a word to her, and my husband drove off. I was silent, but my face was saying 1,000 things. My husband asked what was wrong, and I told him what I just told you all, that she said this, and his face constantly looked like the way I imagine my face had looked. My husband is Caucasian, but our children and I are Mexican. Although there are some people here that are surprised to find out I'm mixed at all, a lot of people, on the other hand, always assume I'm a mixed Mexican. I was livid, not just because of the Mexican remarks, but because of all of it. None of the remarks made towards any race were okay at all. Preach. The next morning, I texted Lorraine to tell her about the run-in I had with August. She suggests I call when a manager isn't on shift. Only managers are allowed to answer the phone. So I could leave a message about it with the time I was in there so corporate could watch the video, because the store voicemail is connected to corporate email. But with Tom being the manager, he has access to the email, and I know he checks it daily, so he can also delete it. Since it involves August, I'm almost positive that he would bury that message as if it was to save his own life. Man, I get it. He's got personal ties to August and her livelihood because she's obviously struggling. But we gotta be a boss sometimes. Lorraine texts me a couple hours later and suggests, why don't I call the cops and tell them that some chick is passed out in her car and you're concerned? Which I knew August had slept in her car in front of the store doors a lot, so I said, that's actually not a bad idea. If only I knew when she was sleeping. She almost immediately texted back and said, yeah, like right now for the last 6 hours or so. So I did just that. I called in to request a welfare check on a woman that seemed to be passed out in her car with the car off and window completely down. It was 10 degrees out at the time of day. About an hour later, Lorraine calls me with all the details. We are a move in the shadows type of women. LOL. So cops pull up, sees that she's passed out, window down, car off, calls for backup. Backup arrives, they approach her car and wake her up. She's having a difficult time holding her eyes open. They start to question her. She is slurring her words and cannot make a full or coherent same. I can't even make a coherent sentence trying to read this coherent sentence. More backup arrives. About 9 cars to be exact. Yeah, what do you need 9 cars there for? They call EMS because they suspect she's on something. They make her get out of the car to do some tests because the keys were in the ignition. The car was off. But if you're under the influence in any kind of way and the keys are in the ignition, you can be in a lot of trouble. I have heard that before. Tom sees what's happening. He charges out there to see what's going on with his precious August. And the officer puts his hand on his taser and tells him to step back and stay where he is. Tom tells him he's her boss, and the officer says, yeah, well, your employee is definitely under the influence of some kind of substance and passed out in her car. They run her name. She comes back with warrants. So she was arrested and taken to our county jail with a $1,500 cash bond. Tom said her car was okay sitting in the parking lot and did not need to be towed. It is private property, so it was Tom's call to make. August is still sitting in a cell waiting to deal with her legal woes while Tom's been talking about considering bailing her out. I'm not surprised by that. If anyone else reading this thinks there's something going on with Tom and August, I share the same suspicions. But Tom is an older married man, and if they have a thing or had a thing together, they're trying to hide it, but I would say not very well. Oh, I didn't even think about that. The plot twist. Lorraine and I have been getting our kicks out of everyone, even customers at the store, talking about how a concerned citizen called the cops on her, and they can't believe the cops arrested her for sleeping in her car, which the arrest record is public, so I don't see why they don't just look her up and get the actual facts. But I tell ya, almost all of the customers feel sorry for her and just love her so much because they believe she's this wonderful woman because she's fed them BS stories and is a sympathy addict. Majority of our customers are mixed races, so if they knew who she really was, I don't think they would be feeling sorry for her. And my old crew are enjoying working and leaving on time every day now and not having to deal with any of August's drama for the time being. August was in full uniform at the time of her arrest, even though she was off the clock. It happened at the store and in uniform. Therefore, it is mandatory that it gets reported to corporate. Tom is supposed to report it technically, but since we all know he won't, our old manager that retired months ago has taken it upon herself to message her old boss at corporate that these events took place. This slice of petty revenge has felt like a long time coming and well deserved. I don't feel bad, not even a little bit. Crappy people deserve crappy prizes. I am guilty of taking the expired pizza. I didn't throw anyone else under the bus for it, and I also did not take any money. I do truly believe it was August, but no way to prove it now that I'm not there. This might be interesting, but my main thought with August was, maybe now she'll get some help. Oh, I understand the point of all that was the petty revenge, but I'm over here being like, she's obviously addicted to shrugs and is homeless, and maybe that could be a wake-up call. Maybe she'll get sober. Maybe it'll be a lesson learned. Also, maybe not. But we're just staying optimistic. All right, let's get on hydration station. Cheers. Drink some water. Look at me. I'm almost done this whole glass. Ooh. Let's start with, I'm not one who believes in love. I've been in strong like before that I thought was love. Got hurt when it ended, blah, blah, blah. Until I met the man of my dreams 20 years ago. Let's call him Jack. He was handsome. He had a deep voice. I love deep voices like Sam Elliott. The only thing about Jack that wasn't perfect was he was only a few inches taller than me. I generally like tall men, but I didn't care about his height. I fell madly in love with him. He was my soulmate. We dated for 7 months. We never argued. The sex was amazing. He even told me he was going to marry me. My flirt? My heart fluttered. My flirt? Our hearts should be called flirts. That's more fun. My heart fluttered every time we were together, not just in the first few minutes, the whole time we were together. We spent every weekend together until one Monday he told me the coming up weekend he would be out of town for work. I was fine with that. I could spend one weekend without him. When he came back the next weekend, when I went to his house, he sat me down on the couch and said he had something to tell me. Uh-oh. My stomach was jumping with butterflies, thinking he was going to ask me to marry him. I'm so sorry for what's about to happen, because I just know. He looked me in the eyes and said, I'm sorry, I have to tell you, when I was gone last weekend, I went to see a girl I dated in high school. We were in our 30s, both divorced. I have to break up with you to be with her. When I saw her, it brought back feelings I had for her all those years ago. My heart fell to my toes. I started to cry. I couldn't believe it. I said, you're playing a cruel joke on me, right? No, he wasn't. I went into the deepest depression. I couldn't eat. I didn't talk to anyone. I cried constantly. His best friend, not my type, not handsome in any way. Oh, well, that's unnecessary. Came to me and said he was going to take me out to get me drunk so I could forget about my broken heart for one night. I went out with him. We had a good night. I was way too drunk and ended up sleeping with his best friend. I didn't like him like that, but we kept spending time together. He told me one day that Jack and her are getting married. I cried because it had only been 2 months since we broke up. Oh, damn. Then the best friend told me that Jack asked him to perform the wedding as he was a notary, and best friend asked me if I would go to the wedding with him. Shut up. Imagine his face when you roll up with him as the wedding date. Oh, that's like a scene in a movie. I thought about it. Yes, I'll go. Maybe Jack will see me again and remember he loves me. Bad idea, because Jack didn't. I ended up being in a relationship with my best friend, Rebound City. I didn't love him, but it was a way to stay close to Jack. Jack never faltered from her. They are still married to this day. Best friend cheated on me after 8 months. It didn't hurt my heart, it hurt my pride. Then I moved out of state. I've never been in love since. He was the heartbreak of all heartbreaks. I just thought I'd share my story of what I feel was my soulmate. I still cry over Jack to this day. I know I'm pathetic. It's not pathetic. Can't help, you know, as they say, the heart wants what it wants. It was a strong love you're feeling and you got your heart broken. But I do believe you will find love again. I'm from a very traditional Italian community. My family is well known there as it is one of the founding families who moved to Brazil in the 1800s. So when my grandfather, Don, was young, my great-grandmother sent him to live with her brother, Greg, his uncle. And my grandfather ended up having an affair with his aunt, his uncle's wife. Let's call her Wanda. Whoa, that's a lot to absorb. Nobody knew about this affair, and not long after that, my grandfather met my grandmother and they got married. My grandfather wasn't the nicest guy and he cheated on my grandma a lot. She used to hide his shoes so he wouldn't go out. They got divorced when I was a child, and even though we lived on the same street, he stopped talking to us for 11 years. My great-grandmother and her brother passed away due to old age, and they were buried in the same place, which is the family's mausoleum. Fast forward 11 years, my grandfather found out he had a brain tumor. All the family got together to take care of him, and with this revelation, we also found out he was having an affair with his niece, Martha, who was Wanda's daughter. You know, I'm trying not to be judgmental here, but this is a lot to take in. I bet you can see where this is going. Well, not really. You keep hitting me with all these twists. Turns out that when Wanda found out about the affair, she told Martha, her daughter, that Don, my grandfather, was her dad and not her uncle. as everyone else believed. Wanda made all of her children have DNA tests done, but only Martha was my grandfather's daughter. Martha is the youngest of Wanda's children, and she is younger than 2 of my grandfather's children, and even older than the other 2, which means that Don kept the affair going even after he was married to my grandma. During this time, everyone in our community knew the Alabama tale my family was living, and I overheard people talking about it in a grocery store and on the bus. It was messy, I'd say. Martha is not the best person either, so when she found out she had another dad and that he had money, she started texting my grandfather all the kinds of stuff, saying that he never gave her anything, that she had to go to public school her whole life. So did my uncles and aunts, asking him to put her and her kids on the will. That didn't go well with my side of the family, as you can imagine. Dawn had to have brain surgery, and Martha tried to stay in the hospital, but my family forbade her from doing so. They asked security to escort her out of the premises, and Martha lost it. Fast forward, my grandfather passed away shortly after the surgery, and it turns out he didn't have a will, LOL. If you're okay to laugh at it, then I guess I am too. I'm not laughing though. The legitimate children split the money and properties and left Martha out, questioning the legitimacy of the DNA test. It took years to solve this problem, and after exhuming his corpse and a lot of money spent on lawyers and legal fees, they had to share the inheritance with Martha. Another funny thing is that my grandfather always said he would get up from the casket at his funeral. In Brazil, it is a common practice to have an open casket wake. So, during the ceremony, someone kicked the casket lid by accident and it fell on the floor, masking a huge noise. I never seen so many people running to the exit so fast in my life. And Don is buried in the same plot as his mother and Greg, his uncle. What a beautiful way to keep it in the family. Oh my God, I'm not even trying to laugh. I'm not laughing at anything else other than the casket lid falling. I'm telling you right now, I would be gone. Couldn't even blink. You wouldn't even see me. I'd be out of there so fucking fast. Listen, at every funeral I've ever been to, that is my biggest fear. Of when you're right there, and even when it is an open casket, I'm just afraid of them moving. I get it. They're not gonna move, Joss. I get it. Still, every single time, I'm wildly uncomfortable. I'm scared. Anyways, that's my irrational fear. So, all right, you guys, let me know your comments in the comment section. I will see you there. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. See you tomorrow.